This should not be scary. And yet, there's a lot of movies that would have you believe that different holidays are actually scary. We're going to talk about them on the Horror Movie Syllabus. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Horror Movie Syllabus. My name is Professor Victor, and I'm going to be your host as we go through all of the essential, must see, noteworthy, and downright notorious modern horror films. If you're new here, I recommend you check out our introduction video. That'll give you a good rundown of how things are done here at the Horror Movie Syllabus. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. But in short, what you need to know is that we've broken up the horror genre into 100 different subgenres, and we're taking each subgenre one by one and discussing three essential or noteworthy or interesting horror films that fit into that subgenre. Now, last time at the Horror Movie Syllabus, we talked about Christmas horror movies, and there are a lot of them. But then there are a lot of movies that are for other holidays that are not Christmas, and we wanted to talk about those as well, make sure they got their due. I believe the trend of horror movies related to a particular holiday starts with Halloween back in 1978. We won't be talking about Halloween in this video because we talked about it in a different video for our horror movie syllabus, but we will be talking about the movies that came after Halloween. The movies that tried to leverage a particular holiday for a scare factor in a particular horror movie. And the fact of the matter is, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of movies that took a particular holiday or even just a noteworthy or memorable day and tried to make it into something more ominous or more scary. Was it always effective? No, not really, but it was usually fun, and that's what we're looking at today, are movies that are fun, an enjoyable experience. We're going to look at three just such movies. As usual, we're going to rank them undergraduate, graduate, and postgraduate. And in this case, that's going to indicate the level of quality of the movies, going from least to greatest quality. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first movie we're talking about, the undergraduate level selection, is Happy Birthday to Me. Now, as I was just saying, not all of these holiday horror movies really were a specific holiday, like a date on the calendar, so much as it was a noteworthy or special day. And Happy Birthday to Me is a good example of that, as it's focusing on your birthday rather than a particular day like Halloween or Christmas. I think that still works pretty well though, because the birthday angle is something that's almost universally relatable. Pretty much everybody celebrates a birthday, unless maybe you're a Jehovah's Witness. So I think that's a pretty good hook for them to use. I think that it's a way for everybody to be interested in the movie and want to check it out because everybody has a birthday. And I think it works fairly well in that regard. Mind you, in 1981, when the movie came out, you're starting to see these movies all over the place. You're starting to see all kinds of movies with different holiday names in the title. So it made sense for them to be trying to do something slightly different by going with the birthday route. Now, the movie is kind of your standard slasher flick. It's about a group of popular kids in high school that are getting stalked, and it ties into one girl's birthday. I won't say anything more than that so as not to spoil the movie. And the movie is good. I really like it, in particular because the kills in the movie are pretty inventive. In fact, one of the biggest selling points of the movie, and probably one of the reasons why it's noteworthy to this day, is the cover art. The poster for the movie, which is also the box cover art if you were renting it at the video store like I would have been in 1981, is really eye catching. The idea of the image of the guy with the shish kebab going into his mouth was a grabber. You really wanted to see what that movie was about. I did when I was a kid, and it didn't let me down. The movie has the kill in it and has inventive kills in it, but that was a great grabber and has kind of stood the test of time in terms of being an intriguing or memorable image from that movie. The movie itself, like I said, the good kills, but a little bit convoluted for a slasher film. You usually like to see the plot being a little bit more simplistic, a little bit less ambitious. I tip my hat to the ambition of the movie, but it doesn't entirely work. That said, it's still a fun ride. It's not like it's a tedious movie. I mean, it's what, 90 minutes long. It's not a long movie, so it's not like it's a chore to get through it or anything like that at all. And I think the payoff is pretty decent. But yeah, it's not narratively as simplistic or as easy to grasp as the average slasher flick, and that's not necessarily a good thing. But overall, I still think it's a lot of fun. I think it delivers on the kills, and I think it's noteworthy enough to be included as our undergraduate level selection. So if you haven't checked it out, give it a chance and tell me what you think. Our second movie, our graduate level movie, is My Bloody Valentine. My Bloody Valentine came out in 1981, and it's another slasher movie, but this one is a genuine classic. Fans love this movie. Horror fans love this movie. They tend to really hold this up as one of the better examples of slasher films, and definitely one of the best examples of a holiday related slasher film. It's a lot of fun. It's a much more simplistic plot. It's basically a Valentine's Day party that's being terrorized by a masked killer, and this killer is wearing a miner's outfit, complete with a mask and a pickaxe, and the look is absolutely fantastic. Harry Warden, the killer, is that's not really a spoiler, is is a memorable, dare I say, iconic slasher villain. And I'm kind of surprised that he didn't get the same kind of a franchise as a Jason or a Freddy, because the look is awesome. And that's, I think, a big part of the reason why this movie has endured as such a classic is the way Harry Warden looks is really cool. He's really scary looking. And I think that that image works. I think that image lasts. It burns into your brain. It stays as a good memory of a really scary moment or a really scary aspect to this film. The movie is fun. It's got good kills. Like I said, it's not too hard to follow. It's got enough of a mythology to make it interesting. It's not boring. It's not a throwaway storyline, but it's not something that you need to take notes to follow either. It's got that perfect sweet spot slasher blend. I could have just as easily put this in the top three of the slasher movies. I didn't, because I knew that I could put it here and that it made more sense as a holiday horror movie. Obviously, the holiday being exploited in this case is Valentine's Day, and that does work rather well in the movie. It's an odd choice. It's got this mining community, so you've got this miner themed killer dressed like a miner, terrorizing people on Valentine's Day. The connection makes a little bit more sense when you see the movie, but it is kind of a weird connection. But it doesn't matter. It works. The movie works really, really well. I like this movie a lot. A lot of people like this movie a lot, so you definitely should check it out. There was a remake done, I think, in 2009, and the remake is good. I really liked the remake. A lot of people really liked the remake. I think it was pretty well received. The remake was done in 3D, and I think that added a lot to it. It had admittedly some CGI blood and stuff like that, but the graphic 3D kills were a big part of what made the movie so fun. I'm not sure if it holds up quite as well without the 3D aspect to it, but it's a fun movie. It's a faithful recreation or remake of the original. It stars Jensen Ackles from Supernatural, who, as you know, I'm a big Supernatural fan, and I like him in this movie. It's a good time. So if you haven't seen the remake, I would actually recommend the remake as well. But definitely see the original. The original is excellent. It is a must see horror film. You need to check it out to have your horror education be complete. It's definitely worth your time. I think you'll enjoy it. But check it out and let me know what you think. The last movie that we're going to be talking about today is our postgraduate level movie, and that is Trick or Treat. Now, I said we wouldn't be talking about the movie Halloween in this video, but we are going to talk about the holiday Halloween, because there's some pretty good Halloween themed horror movies out there that aren't Halloween, and this is the number one example of it. Trick or Treat is an anthology film that has four different storylines. I think it's four that all kind of come together under an overarching story, and it's a lot of fun. I actually added this to my Halloween recommendations video, so if you saw that, you've seen me talk about this movie a little bit already. This movie has a big cult following. It's very popular. It has a really wonderful character named Sam in the movie. He's very creepy. He's a little child with a sack over his head. You saw him on the cover of the video, the movie poster. He's a great character. Again, I'm surprised that he didn't wind up franchising a little bit more. He is very scary looking and really just kind of grabs you. It's a very powerful image, and I guess there's always a possibility that there could be some sort of reboot, that character could be brought back again, especially in an anthology format, because you can tell any kind of story you want and just tie it into Halloween, and it's going to work. And that's what this movie is. It's a bunch of movies that are tied into Halloween, and they work. They're not amazing. As I said in the Halloween recommendations movie, this is not my favorite movie, but I like it. It's really good. It's very well made. It's got a really good cast. Anna Paquin, in particular, being noteworthy in the movie. I'm a big Anna Paquin fan. So definitely worth seeing, definitely worth checking out. Like I said, I'm in the minority. A lot of people love this movie. It's got a big cult following. So if that's not enough of an endorsement for you, I don't know what would be. Definitely check this out if you haven't seen it. It's a fun movie. It's scary and it's got some fun laughs into it, but it's a good balance. It's definitely something that should be seen, should be checked out. Don't let the fact that I don't have a big passion for it deter you. Check it out. Let us know what you think. And if you've seen it and you're a big fan of it, if you think that I'm not giving it enough love, tell us. Tell us in the comments below. Let's have a discussion about it. You know, I like to talk. So those are our three picks for the holiday themed horror movies that are not Christmas horror movies. Um, and as I'm sure you can tell, there's so many more that can be put on here. So we're going to give out a few extra credit movies to kind of just round out the list and give you a few other suggestions of things that maybe you want to check out. The first movie we're going to talk about is New Year's Evil, which is a great title for a movie. And with New Year's literally just around the corner at the time of recording this video, seems appropriate. New Year's Evil is about a killer who's calling into a talk show, a radio show, and saying he's going to kill a person every hour that New Year strikes in every time zone. It's a really interesting concept. The execution of it's a little bit difficult. If you think about it too hard, there's some plot holes that start to kind of glare at you a little bit. The ending maybe isn't as good as it could have been. I think I like the premise or the idea more than I like the movie itself, but the movie's good. It's fun, and it's a little bit notorious. Mostly, again, a really good title. And I love slasher movies, so I can't help but just add slasher movies to this list every time I get an opportunity. New Year's Evil, definitely one worth checking out. Might be a good one to watch on New Year's Eve, especially if you're stuck at home, which many of us are. Check it out. Let me know what you think. Second extra credit movie I'm going to talk about is Valentine. Now, Valentine is the second Valentine related movie that we're talking about today, and I love that movie. It came out in the '90s and the post Scream era. In fact, it almost made it onto the '90s self-referential teen horror film subgenre rather than this one because I like it so much. But it's kind of a guilty pleasure. It's basically a standard slasher flick. It does star David Boreanaz from Angel and Buffy, as you know. Big fan of the Buffyverse, and so that may be part of what drives my love for the movie. But it's just fun. It's just it's not the most amazing or monumental movie, but it's a good time. It's pretty well made. It's kind of got that slick '90s look to it. I really like that movie a lot. It's got its fans. I don't know that it's a must see. I don't think it necessarily made a good enough case to be on the horror movie syllabus proper, but I can definitely justify recommending it as an extra credit video to you here. So check it out. Tell me what you think. Is it as fun as I think it is? Or am I just kind of giving it a little bit too much credit because I love Angel? You tell me. Let me know in the comments below. And the last holiday horror movie that we're going to talk about is Holidays, which is admittedly a little bit on the nose in terms of the title, but it's a perfect movie for this subgenre. Holidays is an anthology movie that has little horror shorts about all of the major holidays. So it's kind of covering all the bases. And this movie is surprisingly fun. I do tend to have a soft spot in my heart for anthology horror movies. I tend to like them quite a bit. And this one, like most anthology movies, not all of the vignettes are as good as the others. Some of them are better, some of them are not as good. But overall, I really liked this movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. And the fact that there are a bunch of short vignettes means even if there's one that's not as good or you're not as into it, it's not that long. So you're only minutes away from seeing another one come in and take over. So I would recommend this movie quite a bit. Actually, I enjoyed this quite a bit. I actually thought long and hard about putting this on the horror movie syllabus proper for this subgenre, especially because it's called Holidays. But I ultimately decided not to because the three movies I did pick are movies I wanted to talk about more, movies that probably mean a little bit more to me, movies that I enjoy a little bit more or maybe a little bit more notorious or well known. Holidays is maybe a little more under the radar to the average horror fan, so probably it was a little harder to justify putting it on the syllabus proper, but definitely should be an extra credit movie and definitely should be something that you should check out. And I'd love to hear what you think about it. I was pleasantly surprised at how much I like this movie. I hope that you will be too. I hope that you like it as much as I do. And that's going to do it for all of our extra credit movies and for the holiday horror movie video in total. Uh, if you thought of other movies that are not on this video that should have been on here, I'd like to hear about them in the comments below, because it's possible that they're showing up in other subgenres, like Halloween showed up in a different subgenre, and it's probably not too hard for you to figure out which subgenre that was. And the fact of the matter is, there are probably other ones that are showing up in other subgenres, especially slashers, because I tend to like to squirrel them away when I can into other subgenres. But there's probably a ton that didn't make this list and aren't going to be on the syllabus at all. And I'd like to see if you figure out which ones those are, and make a case for them in the comments down below. Let us know why you think they deserve to be recognized as must see or essential or noteworthy horror films. I like to have these debates, so please leave a comment. Let us know what I missed. With that, we're going to go ahead and call it a day, and actually call it a year. I hope you guys have stayed safe and have a good one. I hope you have a great new year. And with that, class dismissed.